Ben Nutley, we can't start an interview. We're going to come on to lots and lots of things: rugby, coaching, supporters' questions later on. But first off, November's come early, no?
No, not quite. There is a bit of a story behind this. Obviously, my hair's a lot longer than normal to start with, but I can't wait till the hairdressers to open. But no, poor old Toby Trinder, who was at the club a bit last year, had a bit of a bad day Monday, and we added to that bad day, and we thought me and Tom Kessel thought we'd make up for it and go for the old moustache and a little tuft to kind of cheer him up. And I quite like it. My wife's threatened to divorce me over it, but I can't see. I want to keep it, but I can't see it staying for too long.
Do you just get that 1 month a year then, just for charity fundraising? So charity fundraising good, banter bad. Is that how the
Yeah,
tash works?
pretty much. Pretty much. The banter could only last for a day. I've managed to keep it since Monday so far. So I think that's because she turns up home about 8 o'clock, and then she doesn't really look at me until the weekend. So maybe I'll be able to keep it till next week.
Yeah, just in terms of the banter, we've been talking to a few of the lads, or I've been talking to a few of the lads over the past week, over the past couple of weeks, and there seems to be a really good sense of camaraderie despite the lockdown, despite the fact that nobody's seeing each other face to face.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, it's always been a good group of lads at Cov. I mean, that's something that's always been very good there. Obviously, there's a core group of us in Northampton. I mean, I still see Tommy Kessel and Alex Wolford and Toby Trinder, along with Pete Stevens, who obviously played last year. There's now Pete White, Dan Lewis, a couple of the young lads that are coming in next year through the academy are also Northampton boys. So there's a good core around here, but there's a good group up in Coventry as well that I still keep in touch with. So yeah, I think there's always been that togetherness and that kind of the buy-in of the lads of actually being friends, and that's something that obviously helps out a lot on the pitch as well.
And then in terms of the training, now that there's nothing formal because everybody's still off. But in terms of the lockdown easing, when you can have more people from different households hooking up, are there going to be plans for the Northampton lads to hook up in down at
Yeah,
you've seen Dan Lewis down at BBOB for example?
I won't be. I mean, due to work, I won't be running. I've got my trusty treadmill, which is next to me, which my missus originally got, and I went mad about getting. And it's. I think it's had nearly 500 kilometres of use since lockdown started. So, but no, we're definitely Wolfie was lent some weights by Chris Hart, and so we've been down there pretty much. Well, 4 or 5 days a week training, and it's been nice to get some weight lifted because I think we're all looking very skinny and weak to start with. So that's been nice, a little pick me up to be able to get to a bit of normality.
Is that going to be the hardest thing, do you think, to get going? I mean, everybody's going to be in a similar situation, and not just at COP, but across the league. In terms of the physical shape of people coming back, is going to be massively different.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Chris and Dermot last week, and obviously, I think they said from the whole squad, there's 4 people that would be able to lift the way that they would normally lift in season. So, I mean, that speaks volumes. I mean, as I said, have only been able to lift for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and considering we're nearly 4 or 5 months into lockdown, that's a long time. So, but I mean, obviously, for one, it gives our bodies a time to relax. I mean, since I started when I was 18, there's never at any point, even with injury, would I have this amount of time off heavy weightlifting and training and playing. So for a lot of boys, we're able to get our niggles right and our bodies right for a potentially very different season next year. But also, yeah, I mean, we're still able to run. That was kind of the main thing from lockdown. You're still able to go outside and run. So we may we may be a lot leaner and potentially fitter at the start of next year. But I definitely, yeah, I think a lot of boys will be looking to put a bit more size back on for when the season starts.
And it's just a pity that everybody's lost the bulk now the sun's come out. Sun's
Yeah,
sun's out.
exactly.
The guns aren't quite
Yeah,
so out.
exactly. So, well, I suppose maybe some of the bigger lads have now leaned up a bit, so they might be able to take their top off rather than vesting it all the time. But yeah, it's definitely not suns out, guns out at the minute.
You've been talking. You've hinted at work there. I mean, what have you been up to during the lockdown?
So I was quite fortunate. Obviously, I was going a bit stir crazy with not having anything to do. I cleaned the whole house. I did a bit of DIY, and if anyone that knows me, that's not my forte. So I was getting a bit bored. I had an opportunity with my wife's work, which is a fulfillment centre called James and James. Shameless plug there. But no, I've been working in the customer experience, customer service side of it. I've really enjoyed it. It gives me that kind of routine each day. It's a process-driven thing. I actually get to speak to people that I don't know, which is actually quite nice. So yeah, that's been quite enjoyable. As I say, it keeps me busy. I've been doing that for probably about 6 to 8 weeks now, and it's definitely something that I'll carry on doing, potentially within the season if possible, if time allow, and definitely while furlough carries on as well.
How does that impact the business that you've been running with Heath, and that's for health businesses? Has it given you an additional set of skills for stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, having your own business, that was definitely a big eye opener for a rugby player who literally just has to get up in the morning, lift some weights, and hit things and throw a ball around. It's a completely different kettle of fish, and obviously owning your own business, you have to take on all different sides of it. It's not just one role where you kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do customer service, I'll do sales. It literally is a wide range. So that definitely helps. And obviously, on the flip side of that, me now doing a job that is more thing has helped me with the business as well. So the business is going from strength to strength. It's something that we've not pushed. There's a lot of exciting announcements coming out soon, especially changes in ownership. But I won't go into that too much. But yeah, I mean, as I say, it's definitely this kind of lockdown. It's definitely helped me kind of broaden my horizons and definitely add more, put more eggs in the basket, as they say, as rather than just throw them on around.
Speaking of eggs in the basket, and actually, speaking of Heath there for a minute, he's retired to go into coaching, and to announce that you're going to be looking after Luton, which is your first club.
Second.
Going proper old school in terms of coaching, in terms of
Yeah,
the club, and this is we've had this question via Twitter and Facebook in terms of balancing that off with Carv, and I think it's worth kind of explaining on this situation in terms of that you have been coaching for a while, just not at Luton, and like a lot of the lads do.
yeah, and exactly. It's something obviously most lads that want to stay within the game and kind of preach what they've been taught or put across what they haven't been taught to kind of the next generations. I mean, I've been coaching for 3, 4 years now. Originally started with Owens Women's. That was a great experience. Coaching women is definitely an experience, and I've honestly been told if you can coach women, you can coach anyone. And then obviously I coached Bugbrook, a local club in Northampton, little village club. Who are always looking for players. If anyone is looking, last year with Heath, who I happened to do everything with last year, funnily enough. But yeah, and then now obviously I've had the chance to go back to kind of my boyhood club. It was my second club, but it was the club where I kind of chose rugby over football and kind of got picked up by Northampton, and kind of the rest of history. So just to, obviously I've had the similar questions to you. It is a part-time gig. It's exactly the same as it has been the last few years. It'll be Tuesday and Thursday nights. I'll still be available for training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll still be playing on a Saturday, and that won't change. I still feel I've got a lot to give, but it's a massive project at Luton and something that I'm really looking forward to kind of get my hometown club back to where it should be.
That's a club on, just sticking with Luton for a minute. I mean, ironically enough, it's the place where I first played under floodlights.
Oh,
As all
there
the
you
way back
go.
when there used to be a really good Luton's like a school's floodlit tournament at Luton, and it was the only place around where you would play schoolboy floodlit
Yeah,
rugby. When I was at Hardington. Anyway, that's just going back and reminiscing back like 25 years.
I didn't even know you went to Harlington. There, you learn something every day.
I've never told you that. I mean, how long have we known each other?
Yeah,
Anyway,
too long.
yeah, yes. Tell me about it. Anyway, so but just in terms of that, because that's a club that's always been an ambitious club, and they've had some really good kind of ex-pros coaching there. I mean, I think Matt Allen was a coach there
Madeline, yeah.
once. Who won the Heineken Cup with Saints. So that's a club that's on it. Do you feel pressure moving from a club like Bugbrook to a club like Luton?
Funnily enough, a little bit, yes. But I mean, in respect to Bugbrook have a lot of things that probably Luton have missed in the last few years. Um, Bugbrook have that kind of village club. They're all good boys, and Wolfie and Dan Lewis have taken them over this year, and they'll probably go and win to everything. But obviously, the foundations were built last year with me and Heath. But no, not really. As I say, Luton is a club that's deep. They've been up in the national leagues. They've dropped down, but there is stuff that they can learn from Bugbrook, and it's definitely there's stuff that I will take from Bugbrook in on and off the field to Luton. And it is a club that has a lot of backing. They've got a new massive facility being built soon, and stuff like that. And there is a massive aspiration. But I think the main thing and my goal of why I've gone there is to create a self-sustainable club from Luton boys. I mean, the age group that I played in was exceptional in the country. The only team that ever used to beat us was Old Northamptonians, and there's a few lads that are playing professional rugby from there, and Colchester, where Mikey Hayward and Charlie Sadler lived, used to beat us there. So it was a very good club, and though from that kind of team, there's two lads that are still playing at top level. Well, not at top level, at Luton, and there's kind of that gap. And for me, it's making it a self-sustainable club, but also making it a club very similar to Bugbrook, where they're Luton boys that want to pull on the jersey and want to perform and get Luton where they should be, but without having to pay random people and all these mercenaries to come and do that.
Have you, with both your playing hat on and your coaching hat on, been keeping an eye on what's been coming in out of New Zealand in terms of with the Super Rugby and how it's being refereed, especially at the breakdown?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke a lot with Stuart about the breakdown last year. I can't see it being a massive part of the game in future rugby. I think definitely fetches are kind of going out the game. I mean, Luke Wallace was exceptional for us last year over the ball, and he's probably one of the best that I've played with but seen, and they are still available in the game. But I think just because of the pure it's hard to ref the breakdown. There's a lot of injuries at the breakdown. Obviously, we've seen with the Super Rugby that it's now being refereed more sternly than ever for probably more of the petty things than kind of the big collision stuff. So obviously, for rugby, it wants to be a bit more fun and more of a kind of fast-paced, exciting game. And obviously, the breakdown with people over the ball and killing the ball affects that. So I can't, as I say, for a seven that are kind of, when I came through, that was my kind of bread and butter. It's probably I'm going to have to look, and many of us are going to have to look to kind of adapt our game to other things.
I think it's going to be interesting to see the difference, because Super Rugby is one thing, and Super Rugby in New Zealand, I think, from the lads like James Martin and Dan Lewis who've played in New Zealand, and then you look at Joe Marchant, who's playing for Blues at the minute from Quins on loan. He said that the speed of it's just completely another level to what you see in England. So seeing how that kind of approach actually manifests itself at championship level and even below is going to be really interesting here.
Yeah, I mean, massively. I say, we always used to talk about the pace. I mean, the Premiership pace compared to Championship pace is a different level, but then the A-League is quicker than Premiership, so which a lot of people wouldn't think. But then the Championship's a lot more physical and a lot slower. So as you said, it will be interesting how the referees kind of ref that different pace of the breakdown of the game, but obviously B, how the players are going to react to kind of how things are going to be refed, and if any new rules kind of take shape, which there seem to be a handful every year thrown in that are refed very sternly quite early on in the season.
So that aside, what else are you looking forward to most about playing the champ with Cov next year?
I mean, it's an opportunity. Obviously, lockdowns affected everyone on and off the field, rugby, non-rugby, sport, non-sport. It's been a massive dent in a lot of things, but I think Cov have been able to keep that kind of core group together, and there was exciting times on the field last year. There was also bad times on the field last year, and obviously it's a team that's constantly learning. There's going to be a lot more younger lads with spotted kind of a lot more crucial senior players, and I can really see us develop into. It may have seemed that we've kind of been pushed back, but it'll be interesting to see how we perform on the field. I think this kind of lockdowns help the coaches. I've spoken more to the coaches kind of about life in the last 3 months than I have in the last 2 years I've been there. So I've learned a lot more about them. They've learned a lot more about us players. So I think that can only benefit us on and off the field for next year.
So finally, we'll just finish off with another supporter question that came through via Twitter from Alan Stewart. Who or what has been the biggest influence on your career? Finish with a nice, easy one.
I mean, there's been loads. John Phillips at college was a big one during my Saints career. Phil Dowson, Callum Clark, all those back row, even Lewis Ludham to an extent when he was my understudy, has now gone on to exceptional things, have all been kind of there for me. But I think, and my biggest one definitely would be my brother. I wouldn't be playing honestly if it wasn't for him. I was playing football. I thought I was going to be pretty good. He went over to play rugby and said, "Bro, come on over." I lived off him. doing all the work for X amount of years. I made it, he didn't. I've now made a career out of it. He's now doing very well in business. So who would have known if a so yeah, and he's always been a driver for me. He's honest with me about my games, which is something that is obviously very crucial for a professional athlete, to someone to say, look, Ben, you were crap, or Ben, actually you did all right today. So yeah, I'm going to go. I'll be nice for once. I'm going to say my brother.
Your brother's name is Tom, just for people
Yeah,
at home
sorry, yeah,
who've
Tom,
not.
and he's my identical twin, and I don't think a lot of Cal fans are aware of this. So if you do see me on the field and me sitting in the stands, it is because I have an identical twin brother, and it's not a freak miracle or something weird going on.